Welcome to another episode of Mighty Car Mods. It's an exciting day because it's time to repair this thing, which gets it ready to stick in the other thing, so then we can stick ourselves in it and do some all-wheel drive skids.
The rust is gone, but now we need to put metal back where there was none.
We are wearing like exactly the same clothes today.
They're green. Are they green or grey? It wasn't even intentional. It's the gloves and the black shoes that are finishing it off, isn't it?
Oh, and the black shirt and the black hat and the greeny grey pants.
Slightly embarrassing.
It's very embarrassing. Should we change?
Ready?
I'm not going to.
1, 2.
I didn't really fix it. That's still just a black t-shirt.
Still kind of black, isn't it?
Martin, let's have a little chat about what we're going to do down here, mate.
This is it. It's our freshly laundered rear panel. And also all these little black dots and stuff is where the paint sticking compound has sort of dried off. This is essentially still bare metal though.
It's insane, man. It makes sense that the most amount of corrosion and stuff is near the wheel wells as well, because obviously that's where dirt and mud and snow and salt and all that other JDM road goo just gets splattered.
The thing that's great about this though is that we knew we had a lot of repairs to do. What this means is that instead of having to like grind dirt off and getting dirt and welds, like this is clean, which means you can now start to sort of cut out any areas where it's had corrosion, make a little patch panel and weld it in.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a heaps cleaner job, but then we have to also treat this, paint this, cover this up so that this doesn't continue to rust, because metal just wants to. I mean, if you pull this out of the dipping solution, within minutes you can see surface rust on it again.
I mean, we noticed that when we did our Volkswagen Golf. You pour beer on it or wee on it or do whatever, and literally you can, in front of your eyes, it starts turning brown.
Yep.
Some people would probably say, Marty, which is fair enough, that this is a lot of work.
It's a lot of effort to go to, but it's sort of the only way to do it.
Yeah.
It's the only way to do it, unless you're going to build custom suspension or whatever.
Crazy stuff, yeah.
This is it, so
it is a lot of work, is the short bit. Like, there's no use kind of going, you just kind of, I mean, look at what we're doing here and the amount of time and effort. But it's worth it.
It's worth it. I mean, there's steps of fixing this, repairing this, adding patch panels, then it's got to go back in the car first. Before you can do that, you've got to pull the floor out of the other car.
Yeah.
Like, there's heaps to do, but I reckon we just, like anything, you just one step at a time and fix it.
Every adventure and every journey starts with a single step, Martin. In this case, a step towards the welder.
A working all-wheel drive Mira still feels a long way off, but with each day we're slowly getting closer, and this freshly cleaned JDM floor is the key to it all coming together, but there's still lots to do.
So one of the main benefits of getting something like this stripped is that now we don't have to work in dust and dirt and grind things off. When we're welding patches in, with welding, cleanliness is everything, so it's going to make it a lot easier. Also, now that it's stripped, we can sort of see where some of these patches looked like they were really, really bad. It's actually not as bad as I thought. Some of these areas are going to need repairs, like we're going to have to cut it out, put new metal in there to make sure it's nice and strong. And then we have to treat it. So that means painting it, it means filling it full of cavity wax or fish oil so that they can't rust again. This essentially is bare metal at the moment. It's got some phosphorus on it and some paint sticking agent, which means it would last like this for a couple of weeks, months, depending where you left it. You wouldn't want to leave it out in the rain, but in here it'll be okay. We're not going to mess around though. We're going to be repairing this. All these little things, especially where the spring seats are here, is sort of the worst of it. So we're going to have to cut that out and put new metal in and weld it so it's nice and strong. The actual seats themselves are pretty good. It's just that area behind it where the water and everything and snow and whatever has sort of accumulated that's made it really bad. So next up, we've got to start cutting some holes in it and putting some new metal in.
Tools for panel repair like this involve an assortment of grinders, drills, a MIG welder and hand tools like pliers, tin snips and chisels. Today we put back what rust took away.
So the next step in filling these holes, there's a couple of different ways you can do it, but what we're going to do is make a template out of cardboard. This is as simple as laying this over the top, pressing in to try and get an indentation, and just trimming it back until we've got a piece that's exactly the same size as the hole. Then what we're going to do is transfer this template onto a piece of sheet metal. Then we're going to weld it in.
Breakfast cereal boxes are a good source for cardboard like this that is easy to cut and shape accurately. Getting the curves correct takes some trial and error and a little encouragement with a hammer.
So the next step is to transfer this little shape onto this. Now this is mild steel with a zinc coating to stop it from rusting. Now this is the closest thickness that we can get to actually match the floor pan. And funnily enough, this is exactly what that looks like before it gets stamped. So with that rough shape worked out, now we go over to the belt sander, sand it down until we're just right there along the textile line, and then it's ready to tack in. Hey Benny,
Mechanical Stig has arrived to help us fix our floor. Being a lover of small Japanese key cars and handy with a welder, it wasn't too hard to convince him to come down.
How you doing, Benny?
Hey mate, what's happening?
What do you think, mate?
It's looking good so far.
We haven't done anything yet.
Is that the patch?
Yeah, hopefully, which is that way. I've still got to trim it down a little bit and still got to bend it as well, but it's looking pretty close. We had a look this morning. There's nothing that's like too bad, except the main thing of concern is, see this piece here?
Yeah.
It just doesn't exist on the other side.
Yeah, cool.
Have you got any Stiggy like advice for that?
Because it's, I mean, it looks pretty well symmetrical, so there's a few like bits that are gone on one side and good on the other. So probably make patterns off the good side and then transfer that to the dead side.
Oh, cool. So maybe that side there, that's fine above the wheel arch.
We'll
transfer that to there, and then this one over there.
Same over there, yeah.
Have you done there?
Mixed results.
Yep.
There's no hole in there anymore.
Well, that's good.
So that's a good start. But I think we have a slight problem trying to make these patches exactly the same size as the holes, you know? Like when we're shaving those door handles on the WRX, it's fine because you see it, you've got to paint over it and stuff.
Yep.
Down here, the problem is that surrounding the area that we cut, the metal's actually really, really thin still.
Yeah, it'll make sense if there's rust on the back of it that the chemical treatment would have actually stripped thickness out of it too if it's already rusted, because there's no longer metal there anyway.
Yeah, so I've kind of got an issue over here where I've blown a hole in it because of my mad welding skills. And so I think that's going to continue to be a problem, and considering there's so many of these to do, I reckon our best bet is actually just to like oversize these.
Being that you're never going to see it, it's going to be covered in Dynamat, sound deadening, it's going to have carpet and boot floor. I mean, this entire thing, like underneath it as well, you're also not going to see it. All I care about is the strength of it.
Yeah.
So as long as that hole's there and it's no longer rusting and there's a bit of metal where they're supposed to be, I actually don't care at all what it looks like. So yeah, if we have to oversize it, great.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say that, like, if this shape that I cut out was 20 or 30% bigger, it would actually be perfect. But we don't actually necessarily need to go to the time of trying to get this shape, doing templates, doing whatever. We can look at how big the hole is, size a piece that is 20%, bend it, and just weld it in. And just go for it.
And weld to metal that's got plenty of thickness.
Or weld to metal that we know there's actually metal there. But considering there's so many to do, like, I think it's just going to be a quicker and easier way of doing it.
This is like restoration panel work too. This is not just your normal let's bog a panel or put a little patch on something like this.
Or bolt on an exhaust.
This is the kind of stuff you do on real old cars that have already fallen to pieces.
And there's people out there that do this for a job, like for a living. And, you know, it's like I have no experience doing this.
Sheet metal, yeah.
We have, you know.
There's a whole trade for sheet metal.
Yeah. We've bogged some cars, we've fixed some paint, we've painted some wheels, we've painted some brakes. But, you know, this here is a whole new experience, which is what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. Mad props to people who sheet metal though, because this is not easy.
Yeah, totally. All right, let's move on to this one, mate. It's all you.
Panel beating and sheet metal work are crafts that take decades to master, but for our purposes, we just want strength, no holes, and no rust. Cars like this are often said to have a monocoque shell, but they are actually a hybrid or unibody system that relies on bends, shapes, and box sections of sheet metal to introduce strength and rigidity. For this reason, it's possible to replace entire floors, roofs, panels, and structural sections without the car falling apart, but care needs to be taken to make sure the thin sheets of metal aren't loaded up beyond what they're designed to handle. The floor is a combination of pressed steel sheet that has been formed under high pressure. The tooling is large and expensive, but once you've got it operating, you can stamp out hundreds of thousands of car bodies from just bare and relatively thin sheet metal. The main area we're focusing on is where the spring seats up against the body. Water and debris would have gotten caught up against the metal, and the constant movement of the spring and the rubber will have slowly worn away the outer skin. Luckily, the internal structure is still usable, so we just have to reskin it and seal it up.
Basically just cut all the way around that, like cut it all out. I'll mark it and you can cut it.
To successfully remove rust, you have to cut it out completely. You can't weld to rusty sections, and if you don't treat it at all, depending on the conditions, it will spread further and it will eat your car. With the damaged area cut out and cleaned up, cardboard is getting chopped again to make templates for our spring seats.
This time we are gonna get it done. It's time to show that we done fine. Tonight we're gonna get on down. I'm gonna show you what it's like to party every night until it's done. Look into my eyes and tell me what you see. Look into my eyes and tell me the real.
That's some good looking welding, Benny. It's tricky with thin stuff, isn't it, right? Managing the heat.
It is pretty thin. So we have ground away some stuff too, so I'm trying to put metal back in to make it at least as thick as it used to be. Because you do have to actually dress this one down and then put another skin over the top.
Yep. And then we have to put the actual mount for the
put the original spring
back on it.
Back on as well.
Yeah,
so.
which will fit nicely.
So
Yeah,
once
awesome.
that's dressed down, it'll actually fit basically back where it used to go.
I feel better about it, there being metal there that you can't put your finger through.
My job now is to repair the cones that the springs sit around. The sides don't take any load, but they prevent the spring popping out when the suspension is fully drooped, so they need new metal. These will then be welded back into their original position on the floor. We're applying a rust converter and primer to the areas that will be covered by our new sheetwork. We're also plug welding the top sheets onto the existing internal structure so it matches the way it was built from the factory. With the spring seat in position and both sides welded up, we can cover it all in primer, which will protect it until it's in the car, and we can cover all of it in a heavy duty and rust resistant coating.
Things are progressing nicely on the rear end of the half cut of the Mira. We've managed to weld in a whole bunch of metal plates. There's still a little bit more work to do on it, but this should literally be the last time that we see this or spend any more time repairing this until it's going into the car to be welded in for the last time. There are a few more pieces that need to be repaired on it, mostly around the wheel arches where this is going to attach into the car. Some of this has got a little bit of rust on it or just been damaged when we took it out. So we need to remake it. So we're going to remake some of these panels along the back.
We're calling this inner wheel arch section Steve.
Section Steve.
Is its official name?
Give it a name.
Yeah.
Just Steve.
We're going to personalise it so that we get more enjoyment out of it, Martin.
And our good friend Mechanical Stig will be back today as well to help us a little bit.
Mechanical Stig will be here later. Basically what I'm doing is this side, inner arch, wheel arch section Steve, has a piece like this that actually looks fine on this side, but on that side it is non-existent because Steve has gone AWOL. He's gone postal, he's gone off the planet, he's off his chops, he's off his guts. So we're going to make this, cut this out of metal, flip it, put it on that side, and the next time we actually see this, it's going to be going in the car and we are going to be closer to our all-wheel drivey goodness.
That's right.
Which is going to be amazing. We have the extra handballs of Mechanical Stig. He's done this before.
He has. He's got some panel work experience.
I don't know why, but he has.
Which is awesome.
And we haven't. So we're going to cut, we're going to weld, we're going to fix. Pretty epic that this has all been dipped.
Yeah,
and
it's cool,
like
isn't
clean
it? Yeah,
and
it's
nice.
so clean. There's not dropping rust and dirt everywhere, and you can actually see where the damage is and repair it so much easier. It was a joy to work with compared to working with really rusted, dirty crap. So, no, I'm stoked. I just want to get this thing repaired and I want to get it into the car.
And we had a chat with the engineer today, Marty, and told him what we were doing. He came and visited. He had a look at the build. He had a look at what we've been doing so far. And he was like, yep.
Green light.
You can do it.
Do
Green
it properly.
light, keep going.
Do it properly, weld it properly, make sure everything's where it's supposed to be as far as so it looks as factory as possible.
Yep.
And he will give it the green light.
And we'll end up with a fully engineered all-wheel drive turbo Mira
That's so exciting.
on Australian roads, but from Japan.
Yeah.
It's freaking awesome. Let's cut this up.
Make some bits.
So this here's our little template that we've made. Now, because we don't actually have this piece because it's eaten away with rust, we've traced that side, and then when you invert this, this should be the perfect shape for replacing that, which it is. So now we cut that out of steel, weld it on, and dingo is your monkey. All right, so you can see here, that's the piece that we had. That's our template. And so all this metal that was missing is what we're replacing. That's ready to go in.
Mad, we've got a new side panel bit.
That looks pretty good, man.
Yeah. Some metal that's there that wasn't there before. That's
Look at
awesome.
that. We've gone from that to that.
I feel better about that. I didn't like the idea of driving a Mira around with lots of like cheese speed holes in it. Swiss cheese Mira.
You probably should do some welds on it now though, man, like just to your car and
Dude, I trust you.
your thing.
That welding's
I
good.
trust you more.
That's good welding. Man, that metal is stuck together. There is penetration, which is all anyone ever wants, really.
I guess so. I don't think there's ever been penetration in this Mira though. It's not really what they're for, is it?
Until now.
Oh wow.
Isn't that cool that you can just remake bits of car?
That's amazing, man. It's like,
Some fairly basic tools, welder and a grinder and some stuff.
what's cool about metal is you can add stuff. Like when I'm doing work with wood, when the wood's gone, it's kind of gone. Like you can mix bits of wood shavings with glue and kind of try and build it up. But this, you just add more to it. It's like additive construction, whereas wood is subtractive usually, you know? So you just put more metal into it, whiz it back, smooth it over, paint it, and you got a car again.
And once you paint it, you can, a lot of the time, you can't even tell it's been changed.
Amazing. How are you going, Benny? The watchful eye of Benny over there.
I'm impressed. You're doing really well.
Benny knows what's up. What are we doing next, Benny? Which bit?
Just got to replace a little bit more on the front edge and then that's pretty much it, really.
And just like paint it up, right, and rust proof it?
Yeah, we'll rust proof it all today to make sure it's not going to sort of corrode, and then next we start chopping into the white car.
I got a great idea. Why don't you guys do that, and you give me that, Martin, and you guys get crazy on it.
Sweet.
Let's do this.
The floor is starting to look properly mad. There's just a few bits that still need repair, like along the front of the rear seat section. We can use the same process of shaping patch panels, which can then be welded directly to the existing floor. Welding these small pieces of metal requires some fairly precise control of how much heat you're putting in with the welder. You have to go slowly to prevent blowing holes through, as the parent metal is only around 1 millimeter thick.
Martin, this is looking freaking awesome.
Yeah, it's prepared.
There is metal where there was not metal. There is paint where there was not paint.
The holes are gone. There's no more rust.
The rust is gone.
Yeah,
This is epic.
it's amazing. So I think it's actually time to bring the Mira back in for its. This will be the last time it ever rolls on its front-wheel drive drivetrain.
Yes.
So we bring it in and we start looking at pulling bits of that out and.
Basically, its version of this
Yeah.
has still got stuff in the way, like
All the
suspension
suspension.
wheels, all that stuff.
Yep.
So we drop all that,
Yep.
then unpick the back of it.
Yep.
It's going to be fun. And then we either put the car up on jack stands or we roll it onto a bed, right?
Yeah. It feels like we're well into it, but there's still heaps.
This
of
was
hard
meant to
stuff
be an engine swap and
It
a
will
panel
be.
swap.
It will be.
Is what this was meant to be.
It's gonna be that. It's just. got
It's
a
not
little-
that at all.
No. Just from having those doors on for like a week, it already smells like a Japanese car. Like
Really?
soy sauce and sweet Japanese petrol and like check it out. Tell me if it reminds you of being in Japan. Can you smell it?
I smell it. Yeah, it's that
there's-
sweet, sticky sweat.
Cigarette-y, smoky.
Yeah, all the way along there.
Yeah, up and around here. There's the bit you just welded in from the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but all the suspension, everything else has to come out first. So here we have the rear end of the Australian Mira with independent rear. So you could say in some ways we are going backwards by going back to a big solid beam axle. What we lack in, I guess, suspension niceness, we get back in all-wheel drive traction. So we've just got to pull out the springs, the control arms, the whatever they are, the trailing arm things, the fuel tank, which is under here. It's a lot bigger on the Australian car, interestingly. And then we can start to unpick it and put in our mad Japanese one.
Obviously, we're going to all this effort because we want to try and get a shaft down the back here.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible the front's different as well? Because we haven't even checked that.
I was just looking at it, and it does look like the subframe at least is different.
Okay.
Hopefully the front subframe out of the donor car is not too rusty, and we'll be able to use that. And I was actually looking for a tail shaft mount,
Yeah.
and I can't see one of those either, so hopefully we can graft that from the donor shell into this as well.
Yeah, okay. So in terms of this exhaust, we just angle grind through it and rip it off?
Yeah,
Because
we'll
we never
just
need
chop it and
to...
chuck it away, because we'll either use the one from the front cut or make one.
Or just do a
when it's
custom
done,
one, yeah.
So
Brake lines, what's the deal with them? Just undo them and let them bleed?
We'll unbolt them for now, but they may be different to the to the all-wheel drive car anyway. So we may have to get some custom-made ones for that.
There's a reason why no one in the world's done this before, right?
Yeah, it's not a basic job.
No.
No.
I mean, people have like stitched together different bits of cars. I mean, this specific thing, like there's a reason why no one's made all-wheel drive turbo mirrors.
Yeah, it's a pretty involved car, pretty involved job for what you're gonna get. I mean, as an enthusiast, it's a pretty cool thing, but a day-to-day car, it's a lot of effort for the regular person to go to.
I know why no one's done it.
Why, Martin?
Because people don't like mirrors like I like mirrors.
Well, there is that.
Luckily, my mate's like me enough to help me on my Mira journey. The only problem now is that the exhaust is stuck and getting it out is proving to be a challenge.
I'm sticking my fingers around the base of this rubber, but I can't pull it off the shaft.
Can
It's
you
too
actually
tight.
get your hand the whole way around it, or is it too big?
I can only get my fingers around the base of the rubber, and
really?
the rubber is right over the shaft, and the head is sticking out of the rubber. I can't get it out.
I can get my finger like directly through the sort of the eye of it, but only just, and it's really stiff, man.
I might, if I get some lube, I reckon I'll be able to finger this right off the end.
Do you reckon just 2 fingers, or you reckon it's going to take the whole
Well,
hand?
I'm actually getting my whole hand in there now. Just
Because if I
hold on, maybe we should do it one at a time, because when you push, the vibration pushes me back the other way.
Oh, okay.
Whereas if you just wait for me to finish,
does it have a
Here we
big
go.
Does it have a big hole?
it's got a big. Well, the hole's gaping open now because it's been full, and now I'm pulling it out.
The rubber's really,
Oh, it's almost there, man. Hold on.
Really?
I'm so close.
the rubber's really
Wait,
stiff,
hold it
man.
still on your
It's so
end, and I'm
stiff.
just going to pull it.
It is
pull it
so
from this
stiff.
end.
It's crazy. Can't even. Really?
The
maybe-
tip's almost. I can't get it. Can you?
I think
Can
this
you
side,
get?
I think this side's about to go, man. It's gonna pop off on this side in a second.
If you pull your side, and when you're done, I should be able to use that leverage to pull my
I
side
reckon
all the
if
way
I-
out.
If I just pull it like I've never.
Oh, there's stuff dripping out of mine now.
Oh, really?
I think it's falling out of the large piece. Did you get it done?
The rubber's almost off. Oh, dude, it's about to go.
Mine's moving now as well.
Hang on.
It's
There it goes.
shaking around
I got
all
this-
over the place.
I got this one, man.
Here we go. Wait on.
Another.
Okay, I'm bashing the
you almost
sides.
got it? You
I'm
almost got
bashing
it?
the side. Oh, there it goes.
It's dropped.
Stuff's
one
just
more.
gone everywhere.
With the exhaust beaten and off the car, next we can concentrate on draining the brakes so we don't get covered in brake fluid when we cut up the car.
What does this Mira and Cheryl have in common?
Mine loves it.
Just draining the fuel out of the tank. Easier said than done, because as soon as you start undoing the plug, the fuel just clings to the bottom of the tank and goes everywhere, so I don't recommend it, but we'll get all the petrol out because we have to get it out before we can do anything else.
At least there's an option though to actually do it, you know?
Yeah.
Normally this means us like pulling off fuel hoses and activating ECUs and pumping it out.
Yep.
Next time on Mighty Car Mods.